Alright, so I've been thinking lately um, about. Well, I watched Jacob's video talking about ink and tattoos, and it made me think about like these little things in life that we think are inherently gendered. Um, One of them, there's a hair by my camera. One of them being piercings and tattoos. There are certain piercings and tattoos that we, you know, assume have a gender, and I've always wondered, why this is and how this comes about. So I have my belly button pierced. When I was like 15 years old, I got my belly button pierced, and then I transitioned when I was like 16 or 17. So like the summer between high school and college, and I transitioned like really quickly. Like I started hormones in June of that summer. I got my surgery like the middle of August of that summer, and then like I started school like the first week in September. So I was still healing from surgery. I couldn't really carry any books, and I was a chemistry major, so that really sucked. Um, but the point is that I didn't really have very much time to like really think about how this was going to play out. I was just like, I don't know, I need to do this. It needs to be done before college, and so let's go. So then, like, the past couple of years, these things have been coming up that, like, I never even really thought about, which seems kind of dumb, but I don't know. So, like, I'll be, like, scratching my, like, stomach or something, and my shirt will be, like, lifted up, or I'll be, like, reaching up to get something, and somebody will see my belly button ring. And they'll be like, oh, you have your belly button pierced? Because not everybody at school knows that I'm trans or whatever. So then, like, in thinking about how to answer this question, I get really, like, conflicted because, like, if I answer that, oh, well, I used to be a girl, so that's why I have my belly button pierced, then I'm, like, justifying the fact that they think that that a belly button piercing is, like, inherently female, which, like, there's no rule book on piercings and what gender they have to be, you have to be to get them or something, and so like then I would be like buying into the fact that they think that belly button piercings are female, or predominantly female or whatever. But then at the same time, if I say, oh well, I know a lot of guys that have their belly button pierced, like it's not like a girly thing, like blah blah blah. I'm buying into the fact that I'm male, and so I have to do everything male, and oh, I can't be feminine in any way. I can't have any feminine traits, and I have to reject and deny everything feminine. Well, neither of these options is like valid for me because I can't justify the fact that they think the belly button piercing is female and then say, "Oh yeah, well I used to be a girl, so that's why I have my belly button pierced," because that's like just messed up to me, and I can't say that I have no female traits and that like being female is a bad thing because I don't think that either. So then, I think back to why I really got my belly button pierced, and besides the fact that it was one of the only piercings my parents would let me get at the time because it was, could be covered up, you couldn't really see it, all this stuff. Also, a really good friend of mine at the time had his belly button pierced. So, as I think about, what answer is the best to give people, you know, I feel like saying essentially, "Oh well, I got it because my friend did," is almost the safest answer as far as gender is concerned. Not because of my safety or anything like that, because I don't mind telling people and talking about the fact that I'm trans, but the fact that bringing up that I'm trans, validates their claim that belly button piercings are inherently female. But by saying, oh, well, my friend did it, so then I did it too, even though that makes me seem like an idiot because I'm just following, what my friend did, it doesn't take on any gender. It doesn't imply anything about my gender role or my view of gender roles. It just says, oh, well, I was doing whatever my friend did. And I was thinking about this watching Jacob's video about his tattoos because he was talking about how he has these tattoos from when he was younger, and they're a butterfly and fairy wings and this kind of stuff, and I I was thinking about that, obviously from a personal standpoint, he wants to get these removed, um, and that's completely valid, or, covered up, I mean, and that's completely valid, but also from, looking at it through like a gender scope, you have to imagine that if my dad, who's like almost 60, went out tomorrow and got a big, huge butterfly tattooed on his back, nobody would assume when he walked down the beach that he, used to be female. And so, or that he was feminine in any way. And so then it brings up this weird space of, you know, are we overthinking people's gender, binary that they're looking through? Are we, because we're in such a, precarious position as far as on a gender spectrum or whatever, are we, overthinking, are we over applying these gender rules? And I don't know, because I've gone through the same thing, oh, should I take my belly button ring out? And when I first transitioned, I really wanted to, when these people started calling, kind of calling me out on it, I went through this thing like, oh, well, maybe I should take it out. And my girlfriend actually was like, no, I like it, leave it in. And I'm glad that she did that, because I really enjoy it now. I really like having it, but I don't mean it all to say that you shouldn't cover up your tattoos and that it's not a valid point to cover up tattoos that you don't like. I mean, if you don't like them, cover them up. But I just, wanted to examine these, like, things about, a trans person's life, but also just, any person's life. If I was a bio male, I would have the same, thing with people asking me about my belly button ring, and then, what do you really say? But I just think that it's interesting because as a person who has examined gender in, multiple ways, I think about these things on a more regular basis, I guess, than, your average person would. So, I don't know, I just think about it a lot, like how you answer and how much of a spokesperson you are for gender, and, and I guess all of that is what you take on. So I guess I take on a lot of that because I don't want to say something wrong and, make everybody think that, all trans people think that, all trans guys think that they can't get their belly button pierced or something like that. And so, I don't know, I guess a lot of it is just what you make of yourself, and how much of yourself you feel like, is a community representation. But I don't know, I just think that it's an interesting space, and it's a perfect example of a time when being trans doesn't define you, but comes into play, a lot more in decision making. So thank you for your post, Jacob, and I hope that the cover-up tattoo looks a lot better, and is a much better addition to your body art. So thank you very much.